It's cold outside here in North Georgia. I'm actually down to 30 degrees. I got below freezing faster than you folks did in eastern Pennsylvania to southern New England. A major storm in eastern Canada is producing, in combination with high pressure to the west, strong gusty winds, in some cases past hurricane force along the lee shores of the Great Lakes. And those strong winds are going to continue into Tuesday before the gradient relaxes some. We've got a few minor weather systems ahead this week and going into the weekend of next week. And we're going to talk about those and talk about schedule changes and all the rest of it tonight on the always fabulous Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast, which you can support because it's so fabulous by shopping on Amazon using our referral link that's on the descriptor to this podcast. Just use it to get you to Amazon. Do your shopping like you would normally do. Amazon throws us some coin for sending you there. And as a result of that, if enough of you do it, we can continue to keep this live stream commercial free. And we appreciate very much those of you who have done their shopping via our referral link on Amazon. And of course, you need a weather station. Tempest by Weather Flow is one to get. Easy to install, runs off your mobile device. You can get a display for it to put it up in your office or your living room or right over your bed, perhaps on your ceiling, so you can look up and see what the weather is doing. The system is fantastic, and you enjoy. You'll be part of the fastest growing observing weather network on the planet. We have a link for you pinned to the top of the chat board and also on the descriptor to this podcast. And the coupon code remains
Autumn 2025.
because I have
We'll
not
change
been
it
able to
someday.
change it.
We'll change it someday.
Right.
And Rich Watsmansky on the chat board wants everybody to know that if you use Autumn 2025, you get 10% off.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
10% off. Yes, indeed. So anyway, 970-ish low in eastern Canada, 5 million isobars between that and high pressure that is all the way back somewhere in Kansas, or even one center down in South Texas. And the result is that much of the east is blowing away tonight and will blow away for a while, for much of tomorrow, too.
79-mile-per-hour wind gust at Buffalo. And I'm wondering
Yes.
whether or not they had snow falling at that moment when they reported that that wind.
It's quite possible. And also in Cleveland, apparently they had a gust of hurricane force there. And the lake effect snow machine, Joe, is working overtime right now.
Yeah, well, the lakes are not particularly cold. We've had a siege of unseasonably cold weather the last couple of weeks in December, but they're still rather warm, and with that cold air blowing over the relatively warm lake waters, picking up that moisture and then depositing it to the lee of the lakes in the form of heavy snow, and we're going to be seeing quite a bit of that. We mentioned last night from Syracuse up to Watertown, at least a foot, maybe a foot and a half. Pulaski, which is in between those two cities, may get even more. It's a classic lake effect shaping up much of the central and eastern Great Lakes. And for us here in the tri-state metropolitan area, Joe, was very interesting. Around midday today, I had temperatures which were struggling all morning long to get to above 32. I was about 33, 34 degrees. I looked on the observations, and here we had Newburgh, not too far away to my north, at 34 degrees. And meantime, just a bit to the east in Danbury, Connecticut, 47 degrees.
Wow.
I said to Renata, I said, now, where's the warm front? Or where's the front in general? I mean, it must have been one of those wild, loopy types of front where, in this particular case, you had to go to the east to get into the warm air.
Yeah, it was, it was one of those bizarre hairpin warm fronts that had come up. In fact, actually, I have the radar up right now, and I'll switch over to the surface map from earlier today so you can see what was going on. very busy in and around the Great Lakes. And actually, we've got two lake snow squall warnings up in near Binghamton and points west, right through I-81. There's heavy snow north of Syracuse. Oswego was reporting heavy snow last hour with temperatures down near 20. And then there's a second snow squall warning that has been put into effect on the Pennsylvania side with I-81 cutting right through it. So if you're driving north from Scranton to Binghamton right now, uh, just be advised that you're gonna hit a wall of heavy snow on your way there. And let me bring that surface map. Here we go. So this was at 10 o'clock this morning. So look at how the warm front. Look at how it buckled up into Connecticut and into maybe eastern parts of Westchester County. And on the other side, 40 degrees, that's probably Poughkeepsie. And you just mentioned what was going on with you. And then on the Connecticut side, uh, we saw temperatures rise up to the upper 40s to near 50. Yeah, very, kind of very bizarre, but these things happen when you've got cold air and snow cover. It does affect how a warm front behaves.
And we did break out into some sunshine this afternoon. In fact, around 3 or 4 o'clock, was outside and sun was shining, and I said, "Gee, it really feels nice. It really feels nice now with the sun out." And I went back inside, checked my temperature, and it jumped up to 44. So we needed the sun to push the temperatures up, and it finally did go up. But now they're going down as the cold front has moved on by. The winds have picked up out of the west northwest. That cold air advection driving in a much colder airflow. By daybreak tomorrow morning, many areas around me and in the tri-state in general will have wind chills probably in the mid and low teens. And tomorrow, it's going to be tough just to get the wind chills to go above 20, even though we'll probably see temperatures, ambient air temperatures, get to or above the freezing mark. It's going to be a cold day tomorrow. That's going to be another cold one on Wednesday and Thursday. In
And
fact, looks cold
Friday
right
and the
on through the end of the
weekend and
year.
into next week. It just goes on and on and on. Another
Yep.
string of long duration below normal temperatures, which was commonplace for a good chunk of the month of December. We're going to be interesting. I got to think that even though we had those couple of warmish days in the second half of the month, that December is going to finish at least 5 degrees below normal, maybe six.
Right. At one point, if you remember, we had 8.8 degree below
Yeah.
normal conditions. And yeah, you're right. The warmer temperatures help to boost the average or the mean temperatures up a little bit, but still well below normal for the month of December.
Welcome to everybody on the chat board tonight. Good to see you here. The last couple of days of 2025, and welcome to those of you who are lurking in the background here on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. We love you too. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, turn your notifications on so you don't miss us. We normally are here Sunday through Thursday at 7:35 p.m., but there we are instituting some schedule changes. So tomorrow night will be the last show of the work week. So we're going to be out Wednesday and Thursday, New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. Um, and it's because I have something going on New Year's Eve. I'm going to bed at 9 o'clock or 9:30. But yeah, no show Wednesday and no show on Thursday. So unless the world looks like it may come to an end early next week, we will not be back until Sunday, next Sunday at 7:35 p.m. Eastern Time. And of course, if you like tonight's show, bang the like button because it makes us happy. And I'm going to go back to the surface map now because at 4 o'clock this afternoon,
Wait
when
a
this
minute.
map, what?
Wait a minute. Mr. Fairchild has posted on the chat board the days off are not approved. I didn't know that Ruben Fairchild was in charge of, our schedule, Joe.
Yeah, well, some people are just oblivious.
I mean, I remember being told that I had to work on New Year's Eve, and there was no ands, ifs, or buts about it. They said we were definitely going to have uh, the stupidity of this was that we had here in Westchester County or in the Hudson Valley and at White Plains they have their own ball drop. I know they have the ball drop at Times Square. They actually do something similar or try to attempt to do something similar in White Plains. And because it was in Westchester County and I'm working for News 12 Westchester, they said, we want you to be here at midnight, which of course I didn't particularly care to be. I'd rather be home. Normally our show ended at, at 11 o'clock. And so I would get home just in time for the start of the new year. I wanted to be with my lovely wife on New Year's Eve, but no, they're telling me I had to work that particular New Year's Eve night. And here was the game plan. You want to talk about Reuben Fairchild would love this, right? The stupidity of this. They said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do the ball drop from White Plains. We'll have a reporter there. I think it was Lisa Reyes, or our reporters was there. She'll talk about it for about a minute, minute and a half, and then like at 12:01:30, we're going to throw it immediately. She's going to throw it immediately to you in the studio, and you, Joe Rayo, will have the opportunity to do the very first weather forecast of the new year. Trying to make me sound like it's important, and that's exactly what they did. They did the ball drop. Lisa Reyes said, "Oh, it was wonderful. People are jumping up and down and hugging and kissing each other." And now let's go to our studio and Joe Rayo, the first weather of whatever it was, whatever year it was, let's say 2005 or something like that. They throw it to me, and I just look in the camera for about 5 or 6 seconds, and I say nothing, nothing. And I could hear in my earpiece, my IFB, the producer is yelling. I said, "Joe, say something, say something." And I looked straight into the camera and I said, "If any of you are watching me right now at this moment, it probably means your New Year's Eve party was a flop."
Nice. That must have played well.
No, it
Uh,
didn't play. It didn't play well with the powers that be. But who the hell cares? So
yeah, I
Ruben,
know. Well,
I know Ruben Fairchild would have enjoyed it. But I was just speaking the truth. I mean, if you're sitting and watching a newscast at just after midnight on the first of the new year, or maybe you know what you probably were doing. Some people might be watching the honeymooners. Pix 11 has the honeymooners marathon every year on New Year's Eve. But anyway,
I
I know
used
you,
to
Joe.
I used to work double shifts on New Year's Eve into New Year's Day. So I would work the Sunday night show. So I didn't have to be there till like 6 or 7 o'clock because we only had the one show at 10. So I would come in Sunday at 7 o'clock, um, and then do the show. Sleep. They would have to put me up at a hotel across the way, across the street, which at that time was $600. I imagine now it's like $1,000, but they were charging at least it was $600 for the night, and then wake up at 4 a.m. and do the morning show, which ran from like 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. And then I would go home, and I got paid for two shifts. Okay, so and it was really good money. So it was more than what the hotel room cost. I'll just say that. Much
Yes,
more. So never cared about New Year's. I still don't care about New Year's. New Year's Day, I'm having a dinner for my friends that are coming over, and that's fine by me. A nice afternoon dinner with friends and family. That's to me that's New Year's. The New Year's Eve night stuff. To me, that's 5 year. That's for teenagers and 5 year olds, and I'm not doing it.
you've had the opportunity. I never had the opportunity, but you had the opportunity to actually be on more than one New York station doing weather.
Mhm.
I never had that opportunity, but I did have on one occasion, one night, I did have an occasion where I felt like I was on a New York station because they paid like a New York station, and that
Right.
was Y2K. That was the night of Y2K at News 12. The entire News 12 network. We were all told you have to work on Y2K. If something happens, something disastrous happens, we want everybody on board so that we can navigate people through whatever computer problems or whatever. And it was no questions. You had to work. We all had to work that night. And of course, there were a lot of people who were really upset about that, who wanted to be at home as opposed to having to work on the turn of the millennium, so to
Right.
speak. Right? You don't want to be at, and and we all were until we ended up getting our paycheck the following week, and we saw what we were given for working that one night. And I said to Renata, I said, for the first time, and since then it was the only time, I felt like I was making a lot of money. I made a lot of money that night just for
Yeah.
showing up and doing Y2K. Wish it was like that every night, but it was that one night. And so there you go. Oh, and by the way, at 3 o'clock in the morning, they all sent us home because we realized that Y2K wasn't going to do
Didn't do
anything.
anything.
It was it, you
It
know,
was. It
and they
was
ordered
all.
like I didn't,
It was
and they
all
ordered
BS.
like eight, like 6 or 8 of these giant 6 or 8 foot sandwiches to take care of everybody in case we had to go into the wee hours. And I actually ended up taking one of those sandwiches home with me.
Nice.
So there you go.
All right. Well, here's the surface map now, and there's our low. Sitting up there in eastern Canada, and again, 1,000 isobars from that low to the high that's in Kansas. Everybody in the Great Lakes, the Ohio Valley, down the Appalachian Mountains, including me, blowing away as the front has moved on through. And then when you don't have to go too far to get in temperatures down in the teens, which they already are in parts of western Pennsylvania, mostly low 20s in Ohio and in Michigan. That's because in a lot of places there's clouds and it's still snowing, so that's actually holding the temperatures up. You got to go back. Uh, you start to get into teens when you get into Wisconsin, Iowa, and points north and west from there. Single digits up into Minnesota and into parts of the Dakotas. So it's typical major storm that went to the lakes. Kind of went under the radar a little bit because we had that lead low ahead of it that brought us the snow on uh, what was it, Friday? I forget now. It was Friday
Yeah,
night and
yeah,
Saturday morning. So we
right.
weren't really paying very much attention to the fact that there was going to be an animal developing and running up into the Great Lakes and bringing blizzard conditions. But we were very we were very kind of hyper focused on what was going on in the northern mid Atlantic and on up into southern New England. But that's the way things go. And here's the satellite loop tonight. Big rotation in eastern Canada of a sprawling system. The cold front offshore now, running down through southern Georgia and down through the Gulf states. A little bit of a subtropical jet setting up in the Pacific and shooting some moisture into Texas, or a little piece of it has moved in there with a bit of precipitation. And we've got some moisture flow going into the Pacific Northwest. So the rest of the country is generally under clear or partially clear skies for the overnight. Certainly, we're going to see cold temperatures by tomorrow morning. And here's the wide view of the radar. Here's that precip in Texas. It's actually in the form of snow in southeastern New Mexico and parts of southwest Texas, but it's mostly light rain as you go east from there. And a little bit of snow still going on in parts of Michigan. You can see the lake effect in western Pennsylvania and western New York. Do we have a new snow squall warning? I saw a few people talking about it because this radar map is slightly delayed, so it could very well be, but I'm not going to check it. So there you go. And some a little bit of rain, not much, coming in to the Pacific Northwest. Precip wise over the next 7 days. So this takes us to next Monday night. We're looking at a few hundredths to a tenth. So I think, Joe, that implies that we've got to, we do have a couple of weakish systems that are going to be moving through. Looks like one comes through early on Wednesday. It looks like another one comes through early on Thursday. And it's the sort of thing when you're in when you're in a cold, wintry pattern, you get these little ripples that move along. Uh, every so often you can get something that maybe whites the ground in some places. So I threw that in as a possibility as one of these little weather systems goes by. Somebody could wind up getting the ground whitened up.
I mentioned the possibility, a slight chance of a snow shower or flurry early on Wednesday, and then for Wednesday night late into early Thursday, perhaps, perhaps some spotty light snow. And I agree with you. It might just be enough to coat the ground. This would
Yeah.
be for late Wednesday night or early Thursday. I mean, no massive snowfall, but it is going to be kind of windy and it is going to be cold, and there may be some that may not be confetti in the air when the stroke of midnight takes shape on Wednesday night. There may be a little bit of light snow, but really no big deal.
Meanwhile, you can see the action around the Great Lakes where you're talking about an inch and a half of liquid or more melted over the next 7 days. And there'll be a fair amount of snow there. In fact, WPC, I can remember where I put the map. No, that's not it. This one's it. So this is the probability of at least eight. And we're looking at that dark red there is a 95 to 100% probability of at least eight over the next 72 hours. That takes us through Thursday night in northwest Pennsylvania and southwestern New York, and a 90% probability of at least a 90% probability of at least eight in north central New York. Let me see what happens if I hit 12. Yeah, I mean, still pretty high probabilities there in both those areas, 80 to 90% for at least 12. Shall we check 18, Joe?
Why not?
Okay. Well, you know what? 18, that lighter blue, the lightest blue is 60 to 70%. The next down is 50 to 60. So there's a 50 to 60% chance of at least 18 inches in southwestern New York and into extreme northwestern Pennsylvania. So it's a pretty active area. I'm just for laughs. I'm going to put the 24 up, and they do even have. It's a low probability, but they have that light green is 10 to 20% chance of at least 24, and the dark green spot there is a 40% 30 to 40% chance for at least 24 in southwestern New York, south of Buffalo. It's down near Jamestown, in southwest New York, Celeron, New York, et cetera, et cetera. So there you go. Um, all in the name of lake effect. It's just wonderful. In the meantime, we are again seeing. Here's our. I've got the GFS up. I'm going to start with this. This is the 18Z GFS, and then we'll take a look at the European and the upper air. So much of the country tomorrow is going to have very little precip going on, except for around the lakes, northwestern Minnesota and northeastern North Dakota. Just about everybody is precipitation free. Here's that little disturbance that I was talking about for uh, coming down on Wednesday that produces a little patchy area of light snow in the morning and maybe even into the early part of the afternoon. Much of it gets left behind west of the mountains, but some of it gets regenerated near the coast. So I just thought it was worth putting it in there. And then there's a stronger upper trough that is swinging around. It's actually a cold front with a reinforcement of cold air. And by 1 a.m. Thursday, it's got a fair amount of snow showing up in Vermont, upstate New York. And of course, some of this is going to be lake effect, but some of it isn't. Extending down into West Virginia and back into Ohio. And, it's the usual thing when it comes southeast like this that unless you got a really good strong shortwave, much of it doesn't survive. But I think some of it might. So we can say between midnight and 6 a.m. or so. There could be some snow showers that whiten the ground in a few places, especially up in New England. And then that goes out. Meanwhile, a low that is coming up from the tropics in the Pacific. It's not a tropical system, but it's a low that's forming well to the southwest of the southernmost Baja Peninsula, moves northward and brings a substantial amount of rain into California and rides it all the way up the coast. Then you get a stronger Pacific system that follows. There's a breakaway low that comes into Texas on Thursday into Friday and starts to generate precip in Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and Tennessee. It's all rain. But because this is the problem when you have a setup like this, Joe. You've got these northern features moving along, but they are completely mistimed with what's going on in the south. So both streams kind of stay separate. You really can't get anything going with something like this. So that southern low just gets shoved to the east. Then as we move into Monday, this had me a little bit more intrigued. This is for Sunday night, Monday morning. There's some kind of upper low and trough swinging eastward that the models, they weren't really showing a whole lot, but they seem to be showing a little bit more with every run. But it does have an area of snow. Just out of curiosity, I'm going to check pivotal weather here. I just want to see what kind of snow amounts it generated out of this on the 18Z, just for laughs. Um, so let's do I'll do the regional. We'll put this one up, then I can zoom in and we'll change the parameter to winter weather. Uh, where's that 10 to 1 total snowfall? 10 to 1. Here we go. Total snowfall 10 to 1. Okay. So that's at 144 hours. That's Sunday morning. Well, let's go to 180 hours. So it actually produces, this is 180 hours. That's Monday morning. Let me go a little further. Um, Also, let me change runs because I have the wrong run up. So this is what the GFS is doing here. This is through Monday evening with with what it's showing during the day on Monday. So it actually gives like a 1 to 3 type snowfall from central New Jersey on up into Connecticut and the Hudson Valley and northeastern Pennsylvania. No, not too shabby. Uh, but that's the kind of thing you're going to get. I know a lot of people were talking about January 6th for the potential for something to develop. The only thing, the one thing I'll say about that is when you look at the upper air, there's not much, there's a trough that at a short wave, but it's diving into New York State and Pennsylvania. I think there may be a better shot for something later next week, if this Pacific energy is real, where you could wind up with a much more important trough coming into the eastern part of the United States and maybe a better setup for something a bit more substantial. But that would be for maybe late next week, and that's still a long way away. The other thing I would say is if you look at the European upper air, Joe, it's very interesting because of what it's doing up in the zone of the block. You've got this big block in Greenland that's just locking itself across the entire Arctic region over the next 10 days, and it kind of retrogrades westward. And when you look at how the upper air shapes up over time, it continues to just keep us in a really cold pattern for the most part. Through the next 12 to 13, 14 days or so. This is the GFS that I have. The European is a little different because the GFS loves to put troughs in the west at the end of the forecast period. But if you look at the European block is just really impressive and holds right through the next 15 days. So I'm kind of locked in on the idea that we're going to continue to be. This is cold. Look at this. This is January 7th. Nice troughing there in the eastern part of the United States. Uh, Even a little bit of negative tilt off the southeast coast, which is kind of interesting. And then it just sort of lifts up, and again, just kind of stays cold right through the into the mid part of the month.
Yeah, I know. And I was looking at some of the models, and they all pretty much are on the same page. They all are advertising the big block over Greenland, and of course that's what you want. If you want cold weather in this part of the country, you want to see something like that. Meantime, I see our friends over at CPC, the Climate Prediction Center, are saying that a good chunk of the country will be enjoying unseasonably warm or mild temperatures. But here in the Northeast, if you want below normal temperatures or some vestiges of colder temperatures, you're going to have to be in this part of the country. This is the quadrant to be in if you're into wintry weather. The rest of the country seems like they're going to be seeing a bit of a warm up over the first week or 10 days of January.
And just looking at as I used to call it, les vortex polar, or the polar vortex in the stratosphere, it just continues to remain in a position and then this sort of stretching back and forth, ebbing back and forth with stretches. That just continues over the next couple of days. It's elongated. There was a couple of runs late last week where it was trying to wrap it up like a tight little ball, and it's completely backed off on that now. It still remains somewhat elongated, like this giant oval, for the next 2 weeks. So I'm remaining bullish on the idea that we're going to stay on the cold side. And if we give me a minute here, we can check the European weeklies, which are kind of always interesting. So there's, like Joe said, all above normal in the Rockies and Plains, all below normal in the northeast to the Great Lakes, and near normal down into the Carolinas. So that takes us through. This is for the week of Monday, January 5th through January 12th. If we go to the 12th to the 19th, look at this, all below normal. Just now, it's just basically the Rockies west are warm, and everybody east of the Rockies is going to be either normal or below average temperatures. So this is from the 12th to the 19th, and when we go to the 19th to the 26th, that keeps signaling, Joe, on every bunch of these runs on the weeklies as being a really cold period. I mean, it's that darker blue is more below normal than the lighter blue, and that on that week it extends pretty far down into some of the southern states. So it's a fairly significant looking cold pattern. This is the 26th of January to February 2nd, still below normal in the northeast and mid-Atlantic states, back to the Great Lakes. And we now have the last week is the 2nd to the 9th, still a little below normal. It's very interesting to me that we're going to finish up this December like 5 or 6 degrees below normal, and much of the Northeast and Northern Mid-Atlantic states will have a below normal temperature month in December. If you believe this, we're going to be below normal in through the first 9 days of February. If that works out, the Weather Service has absolutely no chance of their above normal temperature, has a zero chance of their above normal temperature winter forecast for the East coming true.
That would make it 2 in a row.
Yes, it would. It would. And what's striking to me is that there have been several attempts by these longer range models in these European weeklies where it was trying to show a mid-warming in January lasting about a week or 10 days, and then chilling down, and it's completely gone. I mean, it keeps, it just completely reversed on that. So there's something going on in the atmosphere, I think, that in terms of our weather patterns, where the models are having a really tough time grasping the fact that this cold pattern that we're in is a lot more stubborn and maybe a lot more difficult to break down and probably last a lot longer than you might think.
I'm just looking here. It was posted just 3 hours ago on X or on Twitter by Dr. Cohen, Dr. Judah Cohen, and he says we're still
Calling
riding
Dr. Cohen, Dr. Fine, Dr. Cohen.
Still riding the quote rinse, lather, repeat train as weather models better agree on next stretched polar vortex, but some model disagreement on polar vortex evolution that could decide the fate of the Greenland blocking, and a cold winter could go all the way, says Dr. Cohen. And there was another posting. This was by, some of you may remember him. He was on in the New York market, Jeff Bernadelli. He's now down in Florida. And I'm going to quote him directly here. He says, if you like cold and snow in the east, the pattern for the next 2 weeks is textbook. He says, watch as a giant Greenland block, and this is all we've been talking about here on Joe and Joe for the last 10 minutes. Watch as a giant Greenland block intensifies and retrogrades across the Canadian tundra through the period, forcing cold air deep south and trapping it across the eastern U.S. This pattern may even have potential for the southern U.S. for possibly maybe snow? We'll see. And then he writes, for the layman, relative, warm blocking in the Arctic displaces the tropospheric polar vortex, forcing cold air southward into the United States. For the weather nerds out there, the high latitude block reaches a 4.5 standard deviation slash sigma from the mean next weekend on the European model, easily a record. It may not verify, but even if it's in the ballpark, it's like on it's like on Donkey Kong. Buckle up.
Well, the trend, I've always said this, and I think it's true. The trend is your friend. Uh, and if it, every time the model tries to show the pattern breaking down, it backs off. Within a run or two, it backs off. 18Z run, for whatever reason, always wants to go on the GFS, always wants to put a deep trough in the West. You can almost bank on it on every, maybe not on every run, but on a vast majority of runs. So I don't pay any attention to that. I think the European is far superior as far as holding on to overall patterns in the longer term, and is a much more useful tool than the GFS ever could be. I'm and I agree with the way the blocking is setting up, and the fact that troughs are going to be forced into the eastern part of the United States in one form or another. I once again want to reiterate what you and I have been saying for the last couple of weeks. You'll see hints of it. You look at the upper air, probably gives you a better idea. You're not going to really see it on the surface. You might get a run every once in a while that shows something. We saw on this run, and there's something there around, I forgot what date on the GFS, going out in the long range for later next week, I think, sometime late next week. But you're probably not going to see it really show up in the models until you're at least inside 7 or 8 days. And even then, you're going to have to play games with it. But watch the runs for the rest of this week, as you all will do anyhow, whether I tell you to or not. But watch the model runs and watch how they change from run to run, because with the block up there, it makes for the models are very, very unstable. They don't know how to handle it because it's not the normal thing you see. The atmosphere is the upper air is set up and it's out of whack. When it's out of whack, instead of having that sort of normalish west to east flow, when it gets out of whack like this, that's when you get weird stuff that happens.
See this, Joe? You know what that means?
It means we got 100 likes,
We got 100 likes.
and
And
we
there you go.
appreciate it very much.
Yes.
All right, so I think
Amazing.
we pretty well covered it. Do you have anything to rant about? Because I have actually. It was a very happy day here, a very happy day here in my home, and you could ask why.
Why did you have a very happy day in your home, Joe?
Because my 2 week, 2 months and 12-day adventure of having my kitchen redone is over. And this is what it looks like. The backsplash was finally put in today, and this is
Look at that.
my kitchen.
Oh,
Here's the wide shot so you can see JJ. Even he. By the way, that white streak there is not that's the light that's coming down from the sunlight that was through the window and the kitchen lights that were on. It's not like some sort of big scratch, you know. Uh, but trust me, I double checked. Immediately as I saw the picture, I went and looked. That's just the light that the way it reflected. But yeah, this is my new kitchen. Craft made cabinets. Uh, my quartz countertop. My daughters gave me, if you look in the middle of the picture, there's a KitchenAid 6-quart mixer, which I am in love with. I made chocolate chip cookies today. And there's my double oven. There's my microwave oven on top, and you can see the fridge on the side. And it's all done. And the only thing I will say is, uh, I talked about this before. My daughter went on ChatGPT with a picture of my old kitchen and asked ChatGPT, that's AI, folks. Uh, just Google ChatGPT if you're not familiar with it, and asked Chat GPT. Uh, she uploaded the picture and she asked it in English. Said, "I want a new kitchen. I need it to match the floors and match the paint on the walls." And it actually, I don't have the picture up right now, but the picture that it made is almost identical to this. And when I saw it, I was like, "That's absolutely what I want," and that's what I got. So there you go. Oh, his tolerousness is on after that incredible Philadelphia Buffalo game yesterday. My God, what a great finish that was. Um, but he is on. What two dates are you talking about, Dave? What two? Oh,
January 7th
January
and 8th,
7th and 8th,
7th and 8th,
and
and January
January
11th and
11th and
12th.
12th. Yeah, I mean, I kind of go along with that. I got a feeling when we look at the models tomorrow, we're going to see something a little. We're going to see some interesting things on them. That's my prediction. And Richard Bond, thank you for hitting the tip jar tonight. I'll try to stay up New Year's Eve and root on Miami over Ohio State. Yeah, well, yeah, it could be. I don't follow college really very much, but I know a lot of people dislike Ohio State because they're so dominant. So I get it rooting for the underdog.
What happened? What happened on our weekends, Joe? On Saturday, you can. I was. This is incredible. Turn on CBS Channel 2 here in New York,
Right.
college football. Turn on Channel 4 NBC, college football. College football on Fox 5, college football on ABC 7, college football, for God's sake, on Channel 11.
Joe, there used to be
Everywhere you look, there's college football.
when we were kids, there were like 5 or 6 bowl games, and that's it. Okay. There was the Rose Bowl, the Orange Bowl, the Sugar Bowl, the Peach Bowl, the Fiesta Bowl, I think, and the Gator Bowl. Those were the 6. I might have left, something out, but those are the 6 that I remember. There were 64 bowl games, okay, including the Idaho Potato Bowl, the Pop Tart Bowl,
Right.
the the Taco Bell Bowl, one of the tax software programs, they had a bowl. I mean, it's crazy. And a lot of these bowls are like teams that are 6-6. Some of them even have losing records. I mean, come on. But you know what? It sells. It makes money. That's all that matters. And
Growing
that's
up, I remember watching on weekends the American Sportsman or ABC's Wide World of Sports,
right.
bowling. Uh, Channel 5, I'd watch the Bowery Boys. Remember those movies with, I mean, that you had some variety. Now you turn on a Saturday, you switch every channel. It's college football games.
Well, and by
It's
the way,
incredible.
they told me I forgot the toilet bowl, which apparently is a thing now, um, where the 2 worst college teams in the country play each other. I don't know that I would want if I was like on the worst team of the worst college team in the country. I don't know if would want to play the other worst team because if you lose that, you are the worst team. So I mean, do you really want that? Do you really want to carry that for the rest of your life? I don't know. I guess maybe if they pay you enough, because college players do get paid to some extent nowadays. I guess maybe it doesn't matter. Like you're being seen, and that is what matters. All right, shall we go? Because I want to go. Speaking of seeing, I want to go watch the game, the L.A. Rams game tonight. As the Atlanta and against the Falcons because I need the Rams quarterback to have a really big night tonight so I can at least finish in third place in the playoffs in my fantasy league playoffs after winning the regular season. So we'll
Well,
see everybody.
you
Go
go
ahead.
watch your football game. Yes, Leon Probitsky in the early 70s. I too remember Bob Murphy hosting Bowling for Dollars, but
Oh God.
that's another story altogether.
All right, folks. Back tomorrow night at 7:35. So have a good night. Stay warm, and we'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow night.